This is going to be a really quick episode diving into the why behind quarterly planning, especially as a creative business owner. I have a video that goes way more in depth in the whole process of it, so I'm going to make sure that's linked down below. But today is going to be 3 reasons why I think you should be using quarterly planning in your business if you aren't already. So as a former wedding photographer, I definitely had seasonal fluctuations in my work. So there would be some months where I was super busy photographing. There'd be some where I had a little bit more downtime that I could focus on my business more so than my client load. So that kind of also resulted in the fact that my income would fluctuate a little bit season to season too. For me, at least in Virginia, June, like the height of summer was not necessarily when I was booking most of my clients. And so my income would be a little bit lower versus the fall and winter would be really crazy in terms of a lot of bookings coming in for the next years. It was really helpful for me to use quarterly planning to kind of figure out, okay, like how can I stabilize that? Do I need to work on the business to bring in income during those slower months? And so I loved it because it allowed me to really figure out what months I needed to focus very much so on just like delivery versus what months I could really focus on business growth and planning out for that and being able to see that ahead of time. This is what I have on the calendar, or here are the spots that I have to fill on my calendar as well. So having that bird's eye view of the amount of work that I had through quarterly planning was so beneficial. So I actually have a free quarterly guide that you can use. It's just a Google document that you can make a copy of, and it walks you through my entire in-depth process. So be sure to grab that. It's totally free. The link is down in the description below. And so that's going to help you really get into the nitty-gritty details of this. As I mentioned, this video is an overall summary and an introduction. So the second reason why I love quarterly planning as a creative is because it allows me to break down really big goals. I'm a really big dreamer. Chances you are too as a creative. It allowed me to really break down those big goals into like manageable chunks and figure out, okay, when throughout the year do I have time to tackle these? Do I need to start doing something like from the beginning of the year if I want it to be completed by the end of the year? Really breaking it down into action items or steps or weekly tasks that I needed to stay on top of. It really helped to break something that felt like a lot to accomplish in one year into very manageable chunks. And it also allowed me the flexibility to say, hey, okay, I have a really crazy month of October where I don't think I'm going to be doing much outside of shooting and editing for my clients. It allowed me the foresight to kind of be like, okay, like I can see it's a really crazy season. So I'm intentionally pausing this one like business activity or business task. But I know come November, I'll be able to get back into the routine swing of it again. So again, it really allowed me to break down my big goals and assign them to general quarters and then general months. And then looking at the month itself, I have an idea of which weeks are going to be a little bit lighter versus which are the weeks that I can focus on those quarterly goals a little bit more. For me, like for example, right now, I knew that December, the first 2 weeks of December, I pretty much had free and open from shoots and editing. So I was like, okay, I can get ahead and really start batch filming my YouTube videos. So this is an example of how I've literally used this tip in my own business very recently. I kind of make a plan for the quarter at the beginning of the quarter, but then this is something that I look at pretty much every single month as things shift. I do try to make sure that I have buffer and margin on the calendar at the start of every quarter because that makes sure that I don't overcommit, or if something pops up, like a really fun opportunity does pop up, like I have the space to do it because I already have some margin and buffer built in. Or if something goes super wonky with life, I have margin and space to just move things around. And to me, that feels really good instead of having something go wrong and having a full calendar. And it's so hard to move things around because there's literally no space. The last reason why I love quarterly planning is because it gives me a little mini refresh and restart every single quarter. I don't know about you guys, but weeks in business can sometimes be a lot. So by the time you reach 90 days, you're like, whew, just finished a season. That was a lot. It just gives me a chance to get out of the day-to-day, be like, okay, what happened over the last 3 months? How did I do on my goals? How did I do on my client work? Lets me step out, zoom out, see the bigger picture, look at things objectively and figure out, okay, like what went really well? Take some time to celebrate it and then look at what do we need to tweak or shift or change, and then set a loose plan in terms of when I'm working on those business goals in the upcoming 90 days. And I give myself time to really look at the calendar and plan it out strategically rather than feeling like I'm a victim of my calendar every single week. So I love that it gives me time to just refresh, reset. I try to do a sweep of my office space, or if there's some part of the system like an email template that I keep manually tweaking, I just take the time during that quarterly refresh to like actually go in and fix it. So again, it's just time built out at the end of each quarter before the start of the next quarter to work on some of those higher level business things. And sometimes I just use one of those 2 days to just make myself a little like mini like retreat in the middle of the year if I just need space to like breathe. So that is one of the main reasons why I love having that check-in every 90 days or so. For me, it feels a lot more flexible than annual planning. There's been times where annual planning and me really sticking to what I'm saying I'm going to do every single month. Like it went really well, I would say, until August, and then things started to kind of pile on top of each other, and that didn't feel super great. Quarterly planning kind of solves for that because then you can see where things are piling up and be like, okay, some of this has got to go. It's just a really good check-in to see how you're using your time and energy. Okay, there's a fire truck going by. Last thing that I wanted to say is these are the parts of my quarterly review process that I cover in that Google Doc that's for free. It's down in the description. I go more in depth on what exactly I'm looking at for each one of these topics, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of them. So the first thing that I look at during my quarterly overview is my calendar. What did my calendar look like for the past 90 days? What's on my calendar for the upcoming 90 days? The second one is income, like I mentioned. The third is the clients that I have on deck. Do I need to start prepping for any of those? Anything like that? Is there any part of the client experience that I really want to elevate? Or was there a client situation that I can maybe like put some boundaries in place or alleviate that happening again potentially down the road with more communication? The fourth thing is I evaluate my marketing plan. So I evaluate my marketing content and how my content performed over the last 90 days. And I actually usually take the time to outline what is the content that I want to create based off of what it is that I'm offering or really focusing on selling in my business over the next 90 days. So I always make sure that I take the time to align my like marketing with what it is I'm focusing on business wise and sales wise. The fifth area is looking at team/relationships. So this is if there is anything that I need to adjust team-wise, task-wise, number of hours, like responsibilities, what's been delegated, or in the past before I had a team, this bucket really went to building relationships in the industry. So networking with other vendors, networking with other like creative business owners, that kind of thing. And the sixth one was systems. So I mentioned, is there any part of my systems that needs to be updated or tweaked? Do I need to start using another like app or software that's going to make my life easier? This would be the prime time to kind of play around with it, get it set in place before the next 90 days kicks off. I usually do a very light brand audit where I just mostly, this is for me going back through my website, sometimes my social media. Now that kind of extends to my email list / YouTube, but primarily usually just my website and just making sure that everything checks out, everything still works, especially if I made any updates to my website over the last 90 days. I just like to do a clean sweep, make sure my contact form is working at the very least and that things look all right on mobile. I will admit, this is a part of my quarterly review process that I have kind of slacked on recently that I need to pick it up on. So calling myself out here, but I like that this is a quarterly thing because otherwise I feel like it snowballs into a really big project that you then get overwhelmed with during your downtime when you're like, I just want to rest and take a beat. So doing it throughout the year is super helpful. And then the last two things are building out your business goals for the upcoming 90 days. I try to keep these pretty loose. Like for me, they're more like business projects or a way that I want to move the business forward. So something that's not like directly impacting my clients, but will impact my clients down the road. I really try to figure out what is it that I want to focus on business-wise in the upcoming 90 days and then blocking off that time on the calendar, being flexible with it, obviously, but making sure that there's actually time to work on those goals or projects that I have and then mapping out the actual action items that maybe go underneath that project to the lighter weeks that I have work-wise in the upcoming 90 days. Again, I hold all of this with a very loose fist. Is that the phrase? Just because I know that things happen that are outside of your control. But like I said, I try to make sure that I have enough buffer as well. If I'm a really busy season of client work and I'm looking at the calendar, I'm like, okay, with buffer, I don't have a week to work on the business goals. That to me is equally as important information. So for me, my goal is, okay, like pour into yourself. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself so you can be 100 for your client work that you have on your plate. And that still counts to me as a business project or like moving the business forward, because the business cannot move forward if I'm not feeling my best, you know, or it can't move forward as much if I'm not feeling my best. That is kind of a quick and dirty overview of why I love quarterly planning so much. I offer a free 30-minute strategy session if you're trying to implement this routine into your own business and you want to tweak it to make sure it completely maps for you, the way that you work, the way that you're going to like actually use it sustainably over time and not just do it once and then drop the ball later. Because, you know, we've all done that with like business strategies that we actually want to implement. There's a link down below. I love doing like free 30-minute coaching calls with you guys. There's no pitch at the end. So that's down in the description down below. And again, so is the quarterly review and planning worksheet. It's a Google Doc. I'd love for you guys to have it. I am hearing such great things from all the people that are putting those in place in their business. So if you do nothing else, be sure to grab that. I always tell everyone, take what works, leave the rest. And I hope that's good advice for you in terms of everything that you hear on this YouTube channel. But I will catch you guys in the next video. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. And if we haven't already connected on Instagram, I will see you guys over there. I'm at Manali72K, and I will catch you guys in the video next week.